You're waiting. You're waiting to feel something. Drive, fire, a reason to move. You tell yourself, when I have motivation, I'll start. And then you wait some more. Let me be blunt. Waiting for motivation is a form of avoidance. It looks noble because it sounds like patience. But underneath that patience lives a quieter fear, the fear of being seen doing what you truly want. We've been sold a myth. Motivation is a spark you summon. The truth is different and deeper. Motivation is an emergent signal. It tells you when your inner world and your outer life are aligned. When they're not, motivation fades quickly. Carl Jung would recognize this pattern. He didn't talk about motivation the way the internet does. He talked about calling, soul, and the work of becoming whole. He warned that people will do anything to avoid facing the soul. So if motivation keeps escaping you, maybe it's not motivation that's the problem. Maybe something inside you is intentionally quieting that spark. Part 1. What modern motivation teaches you and why it fails. Modern advice says set goals, use visual boards, optimize your mornings, push through resistance. These are useful tools, but they're surface tools. They operate on behavior while ignoring the inner map that gives behavior meaning. When you copy a habit because an influencer said so, your brain gets a short burst of reward. But without an inner reason, a soulful reason, the reward is shallow. It won't sustain the long haul. Think of motivation like a current in a river. Habits and productivity tools are like building small dams, trying to redirect the water. If the river's source is dry, if the stream bed is empty, none of those dams will make a lasting flow. Part 2. The biology and psychology. Brief, practical. Quick science without the lecture. Motivation systems run on dopamine prediction, not constant pleasure. Your brain rewards the promise of progress. There's intrinsic motivation, doing something for its own sake, and extrinsic motivation, doing something for reward or approval. Intrinsic is deeper and sustainable. Neither survives a misaligned identity. If the actions you take contradict who you implicitly believe you are, your body resists. So you can train habits all day, but if your identity tells you, I'm someone who hides, the habits will feel like acting. Acting requires energy. Energy fades. Part 3. Jung's take. Motivation versus the soul's resistance. Jung didn't use motivation much. He used words like call, individuation, and shadow. These concepts crack open what modern advice misses. When your true self calls, it asks for alignment. The shadow, that collection of disowned traits, resists. Why? Because becoming whole threatens the system that kept you safe. The persona, your social mask, and your survival strategies get exposed. This resistance looks like procrastination. It looks like fear. It looks like telling yourself you'll feel motivated later. So the paradox, the very thing you want, to be motivated, to create, to change, is blocked by parts of you that fear the consequences of being shown. Part 4. The 4-layer model. Why motivation dies. Identity, meaning, skill, environment. Here's a practical framework I use with creatives and clients. 4 layers that must match or motivation dies. 1. Identity. Who do you believe you are? Deepest layer. 2. Meaning. Why does the work matter? Soul-level reason. 3. Skill. Do you have practice and competence? Confidence. 4. Environment. Does your life support the action? Friction and cues. If any one of these is out of sync, motivation drops. Most hacks fix layer 3 or 4, But the sustainable fix starts at layer 1 and 2, identity and meaning. Part 5. Hard truth. Identity change is slow and necessary. You cannot reliably be motivated to do something that your identity rejects. You can repeat the behavior, but it will feel exhausting, like wearing someone else's clothes. Change identity first. The action becomes easier when your inner story shifts. I am a maker versus I try to make. This subtle grammatical shift shifts your nervous system. This is exactly Jung's individuation, not to become someone new, but to remember who you always were. Part 6. Practical, actionable process. Do this first. Template. I'll give you a step-by-step ritual you can use right now. This is not quick fix motivation. It's a sustainable reset. Step 0. Set aside 20 minutes. No music, no phone. A notebook. Step 1. Identity inventory. 6 minutes. Write down. Who do I say I am? Titles, roles. Who do I actually feel like inside? Emotions, urges. What would I do if no one judged me? Pure wants. Don't edit. Let sentences be messy. Step 2. Shadow question. 4 minutes. Write the first thing that makes you uncomfortable. A memory, a wish, a feeling. Ask, what part of me would be revealed if I acted on that? Write the honest answer. This reveals the cost the shadow is protecting you from. Step 3. Tiny identity experiment. 5 minutes. Pick one public, tiny act that reflects the true you. Something you can do within 48 hours. It must be visible to at least one person, even just a friend or a private post. Example, post a small sketch, send a 2-line honest message, start a 200-word piece. Promise to do it as the person you are, not who you think you should be. Step 4. Ritual anchor, 5 minutes. Create a 3-step micro-ritual to start work. Light a candle or open a window, symbolic. Light up to one line you wrote in step 1 aloud. Work for 15 minutes. Set a timer. Small rituals change context. They signal to your nervous system, this is real. Do this once and watch how your body reacts. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is recalibration. Part 7. Tactical moves to keep momentum. Practical. If you need the daily scaffolding, use these. Micro commitments. 15 minutes daily, not 2 hours. Keep it tiny. Identity reminders. Sticky notes with your I am line. Reduce friction. Set your workspace the night before. Remove friction tasks. Accountability with dignity. Share progress in ways that feel honest, not performative. Ritualized start. Always use your 3-step ritual. Rituals are identity tech. Part 8. How the shadow sabotages motivation, specifics, and examples. The shadow does not want harm to you. It wants safety, but safety strategies calcify into excuses. Examples. Perfectionism. I'll start when it's perfect. Shadow says, if you never start, you cannot fail or be rejected. Busyness. I'm too busy. Shadow says, if you perform busyness, people will like you and you won't have to be real. Rewriting. I need more input. Shadow says, consume, don't create. Then you're a student, not a creator. When you can name the shadow's argument, it loses power. Part 9. Rewiring. Narrative therapy plus micro-exposures. 2 methods that actually change identity. Narrative, rewriting. Each week, write one short story where the protagonist is you, but doing the thing you avoid. Describe outcomes, good, bad, neutral. Over time, your implicit script updates. Micro-exposure. Do tiny acts that contradict the shadow. The shadow learns through experience, not logic. 15 minutes of contrary action a day rewires expectation. Part 10. Rituals that feel like religion. Practical templates. People who sustain motivation often have rituals that create meaning. Morning anchor. 1 breathwork minute, a line read from your journal. Work blessing. Before a session, touch a symbol, stone, ring. Say aloud a focused sentence. This is my work. Closure ritual. After work, write 1 line of progress and close the notebook. These are not woo-woo, they're behavioral punctuation. Part 11. When motivation dies, what to check first. If your energy collapses, 1. Are you hungry, sleep-deprived, or unwell? Fix the body. 2. Did your environment change? Reduce friction. 3. Are you acting against identity? Return to step 1. 4. Is your task too big? Scale down. 99% of motivation failures are fixable with one of these checks. Part 12. Long haul. Purpose and the inner yes. Sustainable motivation lives where action and meaning meet. Ask, what would I do if I had to do it for love, not approval? If you can find a small corner of your life where the answer is for love, your energy returns. Jung called this movement toward wholeness individuation. It's not a finish line, it's a lifelong alignment process. Motivation shows up as part of the path, not the entire path. Part 13. Final exercise to start today. 5 minutes. 1. Write 1 sentence. I will do as the person who. Example. I will write 300 words as the person who tells truth, not praise. 2. Post it privately. DM to a trusted friend, or into a closed community. 3. Do 15 minutes immediately. No editing. Release the result. Do that now. Closing. You were taught to wait for permission. You were taught to hide your edges. Motivation will come when permission stops being necessary. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Stop chasing motivation like a lightning bolt. Build a life that keeps the storm clouds away. Make space for your soul to call you, then answer. If this landed, if something shifted, download the Shadow Journal linked below. It's a practical 7-day guide I made to help you find the small rituals, the shadow questions, and the identity lines that actually change what you do. Subscribe for more deep videos. I make one thing that matters, not a dozen that look like everything else.